Okay, I think we are live. Hello, world. It's Mr. FLIXTER Show. I'm your host, Mr. FLIXTER. In this episode, I'm going to do my spoiler-free review of Clown in the Cornfield from 2025. And then, I'm going to rank my top 5 killer clowns. But before we get to the main event, we got a few birthdays that I want to go over, and the weekend box office, of course. In a second, I like to call the weekend box office update. So, without further ado, roll the intro. Live from Niagara Falls, it's Mr. FLIXTER Show on Saturday night. Let's try that again. Take 2. Channel. Thank you for clicking on my video. Hello, world. I'm Chris Maitini, aka Mr. FLIXTER. Mr. FLIXTER. So, how excited are you that it's spooky season now? Happy Halloween, y'all. I'm so excited to talk horror movies with you. Who's your favorite killer clown? Leave comments below and we can talk about it. But as I said, before we get to the main event, there's a few birthdays that happened this week that I think are worth mentioning. So, without further ado, let's share the screen. Put me in the corner. There we go. All right. So the first one that I want to mention is Liev Schreiber. Liev. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm not even sure if it's like Schreiber or like Schreiber, so sorry about that. But the guy. As far as horror goes, he played Cotton Weary in the Scream movies. And he was in that awful remake of The Omen. But aside from horror, he also played Wolverine and a bunch of other characters, so we'll get into that. He was born October 4th, 1967. That's today. He's 58, and he was born in San Francisco, California. So let's just go over a few other films that he was in, his body of work. Let's just go with acting roles. More recently, he was in that Caught Stealing movie. He plays a rabbi in that. He's pretty good, but he's unrecognizable. I didn't realize it was him until the credits rolled. Well, he's in Asteroid City. I heard that's pretty good, from 2023. He's also in the show Ray Donovan. I didn't know there was a movie, though, from 2022. So that's cool. That's why I like doing these things. Oh, yeah, Don't Look Up. That's a good movie, too, from 2021. One of my earliest videos was Best Movies of the Year, and that one made the cut. So if you want to watch that, it's on my channel. There's the Ray Donovan show. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things. Oh, I didn't know that he played Wilson Fisk in Into the Spider-Verse in 2018. That's cool. Let's see, what else is here? I Love Dogs is good. 2018. I didn't know he's in My Little Pony. That's awesome. Chuck was a good show. Oopsie, sorry. Sorry. There we go. Put the wrong thing there. Chuck. 2016, yeah. Pretty good show. The Fifth Wave, that was a good one too, 2016. I forgot he was in Creed. He's the narrator though. Okay. He was in Salt with Angelina Jolie in 2010. Repo Man, that movie's kind of good. It wasn't bad. 2010. There it is. X-Men Origins, Wolverine, Sabretooth. 2009. Terrible movie, but he wasn't that bad. The Omen was 2006. That awful remake. Oh, and he was in the remake of The Manchurian Candidate. That remake wasn't very good either. Oh, look who it is. That's funny. You got some killer clowns here. That wasn't even intentional. Oh, what happened there? Oh, we still got Pennywise. Let's see, what else? Oh, too far. Some of All Fears in 2002. Oh, well, we're way too far. Hold on, we skipped a bunch. Oh, no, okay, not that bad. Defiance, that was a good show. 2008. It's the one I'm thinking of. It was a good show. Okay, here we go. Kate and Leopold, 2001. That's a good movie. Of course, there's Scream 3, 2000. That was his last Scream movie. Let's see what else is here. Phantoms was pretty good, 1998. Scream 2 was in 97. Scream, of course, was 96. Oh, I forgot he was in Mixed Nuts, 1994. Oh, it looks like that was his first big screen released movie. Before that was a TV movie called Janik, The Silent Betrayal, whatever that is. 1994. Awesome. So happy birthday, Liev Schreiber, if that's how you say your name. All right, the next actor I want to talk about is Susan Sarandon. Oh, there it is. What happened? Oh, there it is. Okay. I wasn't sure what was going on there. Here we are. There she is. Go away. I'm not sponsored. There she is. She was also born on October 4th, today, in 1946. So she's 79. And she was born in Jackson Heights, New York. Of course, she was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I will be covering that later on this month on the channel. But let's see what else she was in. Aside from that, her most famous didn't go away. It's probably Thelma and Louise, but she's been in a ton of other stuff. So let's have a look, shall we? We'll just do acting credits. Keep it simple. 174 acting credits. Holy crap. That's what I mean. She's like a legend. Here we go. I'm not familiar with any of these things. This is her more recent things, known as the 6888, Fabulous Four, Gracie and Pedro, Pets to the Rescue, The Gutter, and then some cartoons. Oh yeah, she was in Blue Beetle. She was the villain. I forgot about that. 2023 superhero movie. Let's go see all. I haven't seen Jolt, but I've heard good things from 2021. Oh, I didn't know she was in Robot Chicken. That's funny. That's cool. She was also on that Ray Donovan show. How about that? For 19 episodes. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, she was in Bad Mom's Christmas. That's right. That's pretty funny. 2017. She was even in an episode of American Dad. Cool. I forgot she was in Zoolander too, but I've only seen it once, and I wasn't really a big fan of it. 2016. She was good in Tammy, though. I like that one with Melissa McCarthy, 2014. The Snitch is good with The Rock, 2013. Cloud Atlas is okay, 2012. That's My Boy is pretty funny, 2012. 30 Rock was a good show. She was in 2 episodes of that. I haven't seen Robot and Frank, but I've heard good things from 2012. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, she was in Speed Racer in 2008. That was a good one. That's highly underrated. Mr. Woodcock is pretty funny, 2007. Oh yeah, she was on The Simpsons. That's hilarious. That's awesome. Let's see, what else is here? So much stuff. Oh, The Banger Sisters. I remember that one from 2002. I forgot she was on Malcolm in the Middle. That's cool. And she was in Cats and Dogs as a voice. That's cool. A voice acting role. 2001. I love that movie. Yeah, that's right. She's in Friends. Oh, Rugrats in Paris. That's cool. 2001 and 2000, respectively. Cradle Will Rock is pretty good from 1999. And then there's Stepmom. That's a good one, too. 1998. Let's see, what else? One of the Little Women remakes from 1994. That's one of those ones that keep remaking it. There's Thelma and Louise, 1991. I thought that came out in the 80s. My mistake. Bull Durham, that's right. That's a really good one. Kevin Costner's in that one. Witches of Eastwick is really good too. 87. Let's see, what else? There it is. Rocky Horror Picture Show, 1975. This year's the 50th anniversary. So closer to Halloween, I'll go more in depth with that one. I got a whole episode planned for Rocky Horror. Don't worry, it's coming. Let's see, what else is here? Okay, looks like her first movie was called Joe from 1970. Oh, awesome. So happy birthday, Susan Sarandon. Hope you're with us many, many more years. And finally, last but not least, I want to mention Julie Andrews. Last week was my Sound of Music 60th anniversary extravaganza. So had I known, I would have mentioned this then, but it just came to my attention, so I'm mentioning it now. Better late than never. She was born October 1st, 1935. That means she turned 90 years old this year. She was born in Walton, Thames, United Kingdom. So aside from the obvious Sound of Music and Mary Poppins, she's been in many, many more films. Let's have a look, shall we? Go away, I'm not sponsored. So let's go down a bit more. Here we go. There we go. Oh, only 53 credits. I thought she'd have more than that. Oh, I didn't know she's on that Bridgerton show. I don't watch that show, though. She's at 24 episodes. Wow. That's her most recent thing. And then, oh yeah, she was in the Minions movie. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Go back. Oops. Go away. Not sponsored. All right. Okay. I didn't know she's in Aquaman from 2018. Wow. She plays Gru's mom in the Despicable Me movies. I didn't even know that. That's awesome. Part 3 came out in 2017. Oh, it looks like she's just the mom in 1 and 3. I guess the mom's not in the second one. Or she didn't voice her. Anyways, that's cool. Oh yeah, she was the queen in Shrek the Third. Enchanted was pretty good too. 2007, both of them. Tooth Fairy had The Rock, I think, from 2010. That was okay. And then The Princess Diaries, that's a good one, from 2001. Caroline in the City was a good show. She was in an episode of that. She was in Trail of the Pink Panther in 1982. There's The Sound of Music, 1965. And Mary Poppins, 64. It looks like her first thing, like acting role, was something called The Singing Princess. And that came out in 1949. Wow. So happy birthday, Julie Andrews. It's amazing that you're still acting. And it's going to be a sad day when you're gone. So happy birthday. Hopefully we have you for another 90 years. Okay, let's go back to me. Okay, still with me? Great. Remove this. So we have some comments here. Sabrina says, I love the movie, The Witches of Eastwick. We need to watch that one soon. I agree. That's a good one. And then she goes on Happy 90th birthday to Julie Andrews, an iconic legend. Thank you for the comments. That's a nice little set of emojis you got there too. I like that. That's cute. Like a cake, a present, and a heart. Awesome. So now let's get to the weekend box office update. A lot of good movies are coming out. There's been a lot of updates. In the box office. I almost forgot to share the screen. Here we go. And put myself in the corner. And let's go over here. The last weekend was the 26th to the 28th of September. Number one in the box office was One Battle After Another. That's the new Leonardo DiCaprio picture. It made $22 million its opening weekend. Wow. And then number two, Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. Wow, okay. Not gonna lie, I'm surprised. But hey, $13.6 million. There's no audience for it. They both bumped Demon Slayer out of the number one slot because that one only made $7 million this year. Oh, that's why. It dropped. It lost so many theaters. That's over half. But it's still in almost 3,000 theaters. But hey, it's still going strong. It's got $118.1 million. In fourth place is The Conjuring: Last Rites. I'm not sure if I'm going to see this one in theaters or not. Part 3 wasn't that great. And I'm not a huge fan of the Conjuring movies in general. Out of the 9 movies I've seen, I only like 5 of them. So, yeah, I'll probably just wait for it to stream. It made $6.7 million. And last week it was at number 3. It's been out for 4 weeks so far. But it's going strong. I mean, it's got $161.3 million. Not too shabby. Also debuting this week at number 5 is The Strangers Chapter 2. This is another one. I'm not sure if I'm going to see this in theaters or not because the first one was very disappointing. So I might just wait to watch this one. But anyways, it made $5.8 million. Next is Him at number 6 with $3.5 million. That's the new Marlon. I think it's Marlon Wayans is in that one. But it's a dramatic role. It's like a psychological thriller, I think. It's all about football. And then at number 7, I'm looking forward to this one, The Long Walk. It made $3.3 million. It's got $28.7 million so far. Next is Downton Abbey, the grand finale, with $3.3 million. It made $38.9 so far. I'm not sure if that's good compared to the other ones in the franchise, but it seems like it's doing well. Number 9 is Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. I didn't know those got re-released. Holy crap. And they made $2.2 million. That's awesome. People love Spider-Man, including me. And number 10, holding on strong, is A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, dropping 4 spots from last week. Ooh, ouch. And it's lost 66% of theaters. Whoa. Still made over $1 million, 1.1 mil. And it's got 5.7. I think that's pretty good considering I think it's a lower budget movie. It might be an independent film, but don't quote me on that. It looks interesting though. It looks kind of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And then honorable mentions, rounding out the bottom 15. We have Dead of Winter with $1 million. And then we have Eleanor the Great, made almost $1 million. Then we have The Senior at 13. That one almost made $1 million too. And then Weapons. Shout out to Weapons for still being on the top 15. This week it made $466,000, and it's made $150.6 million so far. Whoa! I've heard good things too. I'm looking forward to that one. I missed it in theaters though. And then number 5, Freakier Friday, still going strong. It made about $500,000, but it's got $93.7 million, so that's pretty good. That's another. I'm not even sure if I'm going to watch it, but I might. I hear good things. So that is the domestic box office. Let's take a look at international. Oh, wait, worldwide. Okay, here we go. So these are the top grossing movies around the world so far. Ne Zha 2 is still holding strong at number 1. It's made almost $2 billion. Number 2 is Lilo and Stitch with just over $1 billion. So that one did a lot better than I thought it would do, considering it's like a shop remake. But hey, people saw it. Next is a Minecraft movie at number 3. It didn't quite get to $1 billion. My prediction was off there. I thought it would get to that point. Number 4, another surprise for me at least, Jurassic Park World Rebirth. It's made $867,000 roughly. Number 5 is the How to Train Your Dragon remake. And that's made just over $500 million, so that's pretty good. It's another one. I'm surprised that one's so high, but I guess people went out and saw it. Number 6 is F1, the movie. I missed that in theaters, but I'm looking forward to this one. Brad Pitt as a Formula One racer. Looks pretty cool. $627,000 million, $0.9 million. Number 7 is Superman. I kind of thought this would make more. I'm surprised it didn't. It made $615.7 million, which is good. I just kind of thought it would get to that billion mark. Same with this one. I thought this one would gross more money. Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, $598.7 million, which again is good, but not as much as I thought it would be. I mean, yeah. I thought it'd be more. Demon Slayer is already at number 9. Got $500 million. That's pretty good. And rounding off the top 10, holding strong, is Fantastic Four, First Steps. Heard good things about that one. Looking forward to it. $521.4 million for the latest installment in the MCU. And then some honorable mentions. Number 11 is The Conjuring Last Rites. Whoa. All right, I guess this movie is doing better than I thought around the world. It's got almost $500 million. Holy crap. It actually beat out Captain America Brave New World with $415 million. And then Thunderbolts is just below that with $382. I thought this would make more money, but I guess there wasn't as high demand for that. I guess there was a good word of mouth. I liked it. Sinners was good too. Probably one of the best horror movies so far this year. It's up there with Final Destination Bloodlines. But Sinners made $366 million so far. Oh, speaking of, I didn't even notice that. That's funny. It's right below it. Shout out to Final Destination Bloodlines, $314 million. That's the best in the franchise, I think. So, good job, Final Destination. I loved it. I got a video about that, and I ranked the Final Destination movies. So, you can find that on my channel if you're interested. Let's go back to me. All right, still streaming. I've had a lot of technical difficulties, so far things are going smoothly. Sabrina says, IMDb does not give a budget amount. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Could you please clarify? So now, let's get on to the main event, shall we? Welcome to what I call my 3-ring circus of insanity. Where I talk about Clown in the Cornfield, and then I rank my top 5 killer clowns. So this one isn't going to be so much about the movies. This is about the characters themselves. And then I point out which movie, if there's a ton of movies, is the best one I think out of that one. But yeah, this one's all about the clowns. And I thought the shirt was appropriate because it says friends. And the clown in Clown in the Cornfield is Friendo. Get it? Plus it's got a bunch of other cool characters on there. So let's talk about Clown in the Cornfield. Let's go to IMDb. put myself in the corner. If you've seen Clown in the Cornfield already, let me know what you think about it. I missed it in theaters, but it's streaming now in, I think it's Crave in Canada, or it might be Prime. But yeah, it's streaming in Canada now, so you can watch it if you want to. But anyways, let's get to the review, shall we? There it is, Clown in the Cornfield. I just want to start by saying I love this poster. It's very creepy. It tells you what you need to know without revealing too much. Unlike the trailer gives away way too much of this movie, but hey, I'll get to that. So, here's the synopsis according to IMDb. A fading Midwestern town in which Frendo the Clown, a symbol of a bygone success, reemerges as a terrifying scourge. So, what happens when a has-been mascot makes a group real? What happens when a has-been mascot makes a group of teens realize they've been had? Take two was better. Use take two. So, Clown in the Cornfield was directed by Eli Craig. It was written by Carter Blanchard, Eli Craig, and Adam Caesar. Caesar? Sorry if I butchered that. It was made on a budget of $1 million, and it made $13.2 million at the box office. So one of the first things I want to point out is how director Eli Craig does a really good job of establishing this small Midwestern town. I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, Ohio more specifically, so I kind of know what it's like to be in this kind of a setting. And the town that the movie takes place in is called Kettle Springs, and it's supposed to be in Missouri. However, the film itself was actually shot in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It's a gorgeous landscape, and it's the perfect setting for this kind of a story because of the abundance of farmland. I haven't been to Manitoba, but I did live in Ohio, like I said, and there's a lot of farm fields out there too. I do like the opening scene. It's brief and there's very little context, but it's a nice reference to Jaws from 1975. The camera moves forward through the corn stalks, displaying the credits, kind of like how in the opening credits of Jaws, when the camera's moving underwater, navigating through the seaweed. Then it shows some teens at a party around a bonfire, drinking and smoking just like Jaws. The camera pans, showing a woman in the foreground. She's smoking a cigarette. Then it shows another couple kissing. Then it finally stops on a woman who wordlessly flirts with a young man and leads him away from the party, disrobing to tease him. Again, much like Jaws. She even disappears into the cornfield, kind of like how Chrissy vanishes into the ocean. Except the guy goes in the cornfield too. But that's like the only difference. But yeah, it's a good way to start the movie off. I enjoyed that. In the first 10 minutes, though, there was 3 fake out jump scares. I guess because the filmmakers thought they had to remind you that you're watching a horror movie. I'd rather be scared by suspense, not surprise. This goes back to the Hitchcock adage about the same subject. His example was watching a ticking clock on a bomb before it explodes in a restaurant versus seeing 2 people talking at a table when a bomb suddenly goes off in the restaurant. just goes down to story structure and pacing. But instead of relying on the suspense factor, it's more about being in your face, which I don't appreciate as much. I think those jump scares like that are just cheap and lazy. I mean, halfway through, the fake out jump scares get even worse. They're as frequent as they are frustrating. I do like the special effects makeup, though, for the gore. That was impressive. It delivers in that regard. So if you love gore, you'll like that aspect. I also noticed that Friendo uses different weapons to pay homage to iconic slasher killers. Like he uses the chainsaw like Leatherface in one scene. There's another scene where he uses the knife like Michael Myers or Ghostface. In another scene, he uses a pitchfork, kind of like Jason Voorhees does in Part 2. And there's a subtle reference to the House on Haunted Hill, too, that I picked up on. So I love the horror references. They also got this, it's like this jack-in-the-box that keeps appearing right before Friendo kills his victims. And it's a nice touch, because every time I knew it was going to pop up, it still made me jump every time. It's embarrassing, but hey, it happened. I'm not gonna lie. It got me every time. So the writers, Blanchard and Craig, actually based their script off a novel that was written by Adam Caesar. Again, sorry if I butchered that. There's actually 3 novels. So there might be more Friendo coming. Hard to say. But I haven't read the books, so I'm not going to do a comparison between the book and the movie. I'm just judging this as a standalone movie. Everything that was presented to me on screen. That being said, I think there's way too many contrivances, which destroys my suspension of disbelief. Too many characters just so happen to be at the right place at the right time. Aside from the script being primarily derivative, there's a lot of generic horror situations. It doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Most of the movie takes place outside the cornfield. I kept wondering to myself, when are we going to get back to the cornfield? Talk about a missed opportunity. Worst of all, I found the overall storyline boring. After that opening scene, it takes about an hour to get back to the clown in the cornfield. It's not that funny either, except for a few scenes. And those ones made me laugh out loud. There's a scene, it's in the preview, so it's not really a spoiler. I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about before. These are some of the best parts, and they just show them in the trailers. Really? Too many movies nowadays show way too much of the movie. I mean, sorry, too many previews nowadays. The trailers show way too much of the movie. But anyways, the scenes that I liked. There's a scene where a couple of teens can't dial 911 because they don't know how to operate a rotary phone. That's just hilarious because that's probably what would happen. And then those same 2 teens, they can't drive away to safety because they don't know how to drive stick. That's hilarious. I just wish they didn't show those scenes in the previews because that would have been a nice little funny surprise. But anyways, the movie's not that scary either because it's so reliant on those fake out jump scares. It gets tiresome after a while. There's no looming sense of dread either because Frendo's presence isn't that felt. But this goes back to my suspense versus surprise theory. And without saying too much, I thought the conclusion was illogical. When you look back on the other events that happened in the movie, it raises more questions than answers, and that's never a good thing. The characters aren't even likable for the most part. It seems like most of them are just there to fill out the body count. Katie Douglas plays Quinn. But I found her character to be mind-numbingly tedious and vapid. Her line delivery doesn't help the poorly written dialogue. She has no character arc either. And she has this backstory with this dead mom angle. That's such a cliche backstory in slasher movies. It doesn't make me feel empathetic toward that character. It just makes me roll my eyes. Like, really, we're doing this again? Come up with new storylines, people. Aaron Abrams is Dr. Glenn Maybrook. This is Quinn's father, and he's the doctor of Kettle Springs. He's good in the role, but he doesn't have that much to do until closer to the finale. But again, I won't say too much. I'll keep this spoiler-free. Kevin Durand is Arthur, who is the mayor. He's fantastic because he's really good at losing himself into his characters. He's one of the standouts. Another standout is Will Sasso. He's a nice surprise as the sheriff. He steals the show because of his comedic timing and line delivery. So, overall, my biggest fears, honestly, are clowns and cornfields at night. So, I had high expectations after seeing the trailers for this because they kept playing them in theaters all the time and TV. For a movie with that title, there's a serious lack of clowns in cornfields. So I was disappointed. It follows that basic slasher formula up until the finale, and then it completely jumps the shark. There's nothing wrong with using a teen horror movie to have social commentary on subject matters like the generation gap or like class relations or the decline of US manufacturing in the Midwest. But the way they handle the story is not very interesting. It helps too if the plot isn't so cluttered with half baked ideas that the climax needs long monologues to explain the message as if it wasn't blatantly obvious already. Personally, I don't appreciate when movies don't respect their audience. They just spoon feed you everything toward the end. It's like, okay, we get it. And then the final unmasking, when you find out the murderer's motivations, it's just like, really? This is why we're doing this? That's how little sense it makes. I'm still scratching my head. I'm not sure if it's the same in the book or not, but the way it's handled in the movie is very clunky, to say the least. The difference between this movie and 70s and 80s slashers, which is clearly an homage to, is that those movies are fun to watch. Sure, they have stupid, unlikable characters in those movies too, but all those movies in the 80s are trying to outdo themselves back then, and they just brought so much more to the table, you know what I mean? Especially with the kills. The kills in this are good, there's gruesome gore, but not that clever. It's mainly just stabbings and stuff. And honestly, it's not that memorable too. Like I watched this movie on Monday, and I can barely remember it now. Not even a week later. So as far as I remember, there's not that many clever kills. So that says something too. It's not that memorable. However, it's clear the filmmakers have a love for the horror genre because of all these references. I kind of thought, what if this movie was kind of like if the cornfield was the killer's hunting ground? Kind of like a combination of like the Maze Runner meets Friday the 13th. Wouldn't that be cool? So I can't help but compare this to Thanksgiving from 2023. Both are slashers featuring a group of teens in a small town with the town mascot dressed killer. Both movies have a parade that goes horribly wrong, and both just so happen to be directed by a guy named Eli. This also reminds me of My Bloody Valentine from 1981, which has parallels including a Canadian cast portraying American characters, a town legend costumed killer, and a big twist reveal at the end, with the fictional rural town thriving on one export. Plus plus the protagonist is also an outsider. So there's a lot of parallels between those ones. If you like those two movies, you might like Clown in the Cornfield. Also, if you're fairly new to horror, if you're just getting into the genre, this might appeal to you too. But hardcore horror fans might be disappointed. It also reminds me of a couple other movies, but I'll wait until after I give my rating for the review, because if I say these two movies, it's probably going to spoil this movie. So I'll give my rating first, and then I'll say it. I'll give you a little time, and then you can come back, and we'll talk Killer Clowns. So let's go back to me. Still going. Nice. So far, so good. So, my official grade for Clown in the Cornfield is a small popcorn. I just thought with the story structure and the acting and that twist reveal, it's just, I was very disappointed by this movie. And remember, when it comes to killing and stalking, Brundo needs to consider a different field. So now, here's your spoiler warning. You can briefly mute me or just go away and come back for a minute. It's okay. I just don't want to spoil the movie. But there's two other movies that this reminds me of. Those ones are Children of the Corn from 1984 and Hot Fuzz from 2007. But I won't specifically say why. Just think about those movies. And then if you've seen it, you can kind of get why that might be a spoiler. It might not be a spoiler. People might not get the connection. But hey, you've been warned. So let's continue with my three-ring circus of insanity, shall we? In this blood-splattered circus, not all clowns are created equal. Some revel in chaos. Some are just acting a fool. The true titans of terror and greasepaint earn their place under the big top by checking off three main boxes, or as I call them, my three rings. Those rings are kill creativity, clown design, and fear factor. These three rings are what determines what I think are the ringmasters of mayhem. So I have a few honorable mentions before I get to the top 5. The first movie, let's go to IMDb. Oh, hold on, wait, we have some comments here. Hold that thought for a moment. Sabrina says, "You're an easy person to make jump, though. Cloud in the Cornfield didn't make me jump." That is true. Lots of movies make me jump. Guilty. But yeah, she said it wasn't even scary, and she gets scared by horror movies too. Like she had a hard time with the Friday the 13th movies, but to her credit, those movies are pretty scary, especially the early ones. So now let's talk about. Oh wait, I'm gonna share the screen. I almost forgot. There we go. And then corner. Here we go. One more thing about Clown in the Cornfield, really quick. The clown design for Frendo is pretty creepy. So is his laugh. But to me, he looks too much like Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal. I forgot to mention this before, so maybe I can get. Yeah, here's a good picture. Go away, not sponsored. Let's see. Very Sweet Tooth-ish. If you're a fan of Twisted Metal, you know what I'm talking about. He just doesn't have a very unique look. He doesn't stand out on his own. As he doesn't have his own identity, if that makes sense. Just one more disappointment for a disappointing movie. But anyways, the first honorable mention for killer clowns is the clown from Haunt. From 2019. Look at that creepy clown mask. So Haunt was directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. It was written by Scott Beck and Brian Woods as well. It stars Justin Markson as the clown. It cost $5 million to make, and the worldwide gross was $2.2 million. So it didn't really earn its money back, but I like this movie. Poor box office doesn't mean bad movie. It just means nobody saw it when it was in theaters. A lot of cult classics didn't have a great box office. Some of them we consider classics today. So, the reason this didn't crack the top 5 is because technically this movie is not really a killer clown movie per se, but the clowns involved are memorable. The mask has that fear factor because it has a unique look to it. You can see the inspiration from Halloween, but it does have like its own look. It's so creepy. The creativity is evident because it's not just a generic clown. It's got its own identity to it. That's why I briefly mentioned Frendo, because the clown design is a big factor for these. But the kills are lacking. I mean, it's primarily consists of just stabbings. It'd be higher up too if this movie was a little more clown related, if he was the central focus. But this clown doesn't have a big role. But he is the standout in this haunted house horror movie. The film really excels in atmosphere and tension. That's why this clown deserves the honorable mention. And he doesn't really have a name. He's just the clown. I was trying to remember his name, and then I looked it up. before I watch the movie again. I've been watching Killer Clown movies all week. So yeah, that's Clown from Haunt. The next honorable mention is Clown from Clown. Well, the demon's name is Cloyne. But yeah, here we go. Great poster, too. Clown came out in 2014. It was directed by John Watts. It was written by Watts and Christopher Ford. And it stars Andy Powers as Kent, who's the clown. It was made with a budget of $1.5 million. And it made $4.3 million worldwide. So it like doubled its money. I'm surprised there hasn't been a sequel for this. I love how this film has a creative original concept that draws inspiration from The Fly. So about a guy who has a birthday party for his son, but the clown is double booked, so there's no clown for his party, but he finds this clown suit in the basement. And he puts it on, but then he can't take it off. Then he transforms into a demonic killer clown that eats children. It's got great body horror effects and gruesome kills, especially that ball pit scene. It's like a Cronenberg style transformation with gruesome child eating scenes. Think of it as like The Fly, but with like rainbow colored hair. I love the clown design too. You can see it here. It's very subtle, but it's very creepy. Maybe I can get a better picture. Hold on. Go away. Not sponsored. There's a better picture. This is the one I have in my collage, my thumbnail for this episode. See, it's got subtle little touches around the eyes and the lips and everything. And he's got the hair and the suit itself. Everything about it just makes a great clown design. So that's Clown. Underrated little independent gem. Fun fact, too. This movie started off as a fake trailer, but then it got the attention of Eli Roth, and he wanted to produce it to be a full-length feature film. So without Eli Roth, we wouldn't have this movie. The next honorable mention, I can talk today, I swear. It's called Drive Through. This is another underrated gem. And I'm surprised there's no sequels for this because how fun it is. It's supposed to be. I love this poster. Tells you everything you need to know. Drive Through is a fun horror comedy slasher served with extra cheese. It's got Horny the Clown, who is as hilarious as he is bloodthirsty. It's got the movie itself has likable characters, really inventive, creative kills, and sharp humor that helps supersize this basic slasher formula into something spectacular. Where's the beef? I don't have any with this flick. It's that kind of movie that knows that it's a B movie. So it doesn't really try to be anything else but silly, self-aware. And it's surprisingly innovative. The kills are over the top. And everything about this movie just revels in absurdity. So, in other words, for B movie horror fans, this is definitely a happy meal. It's got a funny story, too. Let's think of it as like, what if Ronald McDonald suddenly came to life and started killing people? This one's actually an annual Halloween watch for me. I love this movie. Again, that's Drive-Thru. It was directed by Brandon Coles and Steve Kuhn. It was also written by Coles and Kuhn. And it stars Van de la Plante as Horny the Clown. It was made in the budget of $500,000, but I couldn't get a worldwide gross. I don't think this was released in theaters. I think this was a straight-to-DVD movie. But again, that doesn't mean bad movie. It just means low budget. Low budget does not equal bad movie. So yeah, that's Drive-Thru. Highly underrated gem. The final honorable mention. Actually, I just want to check to see if we're still going. I haven't checked in a while. All right, still streaming. Let's go back to IMDb. The final honorable mention is called Jack in the Box. This one's streaming on Amazon Prime. I just happened to discover it when I was browsing through the movies one day. And it stuck with me. Look at this clown design. Isn't that creepy? You know what I was saying about Jack in the Boxes before. This is the whole movie about a giant Jack in the Box. Holy crap, that's terrifying. Jack in the Box was directed by Lawrence Fowler. It was written by Fowler, too. And it stars Robert Strange as Jack. I couldn't get a budget for this one, but it did have a worldwide box office of $1.3 million. So no wonder this movie has 2 sequels. Jack has such a unique character design. But this silent killer clown doesn't really have that much of a personality. And just because you're a silent killer doesn't mean you can't have a personality. Look at Jason and Michael Myers. And another killer clown that I'll get to later. You can probably guess who that is. But the concept is so imaginative. Granted, this movie is not as scary as some of the other movies. And the kills are pretty basic. It's just a lot of slit throats and stabbings. And most of the kills are off screen. So it's pretty light on gore. So depending on how you feel about that, that might affect your opinion on the movie. It doesn't bother me so much, but some people do care about that. Jack is more of a demonic puppet than a traditional clown, too. That's why I didn't quite make my top 5. But he must be mentioning because of the clown's look. And this is the movie I keep going back to. It's because there's something about it. It's got a lot of charm to it. The kills may be tame, but the character concept and the whole concept of like what he's all about, not just his design, is very unsettling. He basically kills you and then drags you into the box. So creepy. He gives the Jack in the Box from Krampus a run from his money. Big fatty Jack. Highly recommend. So let's go back to me. Here I am, kind of. All right. My number 5 is Papa Corn from Circus of the Dead. Let's go back to this. Now, this movie, I'll say right off the bat, is not for everyone. There are two kinds of horror movies, essentially. Fun horror and not fun horror. This is not fun horror. So if you can't handle gore or horrifying situations, this is not the movie for you. But if you like other movies that are like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or like House of a Thousand Corpses, or even the Terrifier movies, I'll get to those, then yeah, this is for you. Here's the poster. I love this poster. Here's Papa Corn, right front and center, and his lackeys. As far as kill creativity goes, I'm going to give it 3 out of 3 rings. As far as clown design goes, I'll give it 1 out of 3 rings. Fear factor is definitely 3 out of 3 rings. These are some horrifying situations. Papa Corn is a sadistic, homicidal maniac with an insatiable hunger for carnage candy. This is more disturbing than most killer clown flicks because of the violence. It's all grounded in realism. These aren't supernatural entities. These are real people. So to speak. Obviously, it's a movie. The depravity is sold even more because the special effects makeup and the acting is that convincing. You will never look at clowns the same way again after seeing this movie. It's the kind of movie that makes you feel icky afterwards. It doesn't just entertain. This movie assaults all your senses. Because Papa Corn is the kind of killer clown that also leaves emotional bruises, leaving a lasting impact on what you just, everything that you just saw leaves a lasting impact on you. That's what I meant to say. And the tone is relentlessly bleak. I wouldn't call this torture porn necessarily, but it gets awfully close to that category, like the Saw movies or like I Spit on Your Grave, stuff like that. I actually put I Spit on Your Grave in a whole other category, and it almost gets there. Like that's how extreme this movie is. Papa Corn looks like a meth-fueled nightmare. There's no whimsy behind him. He's just purely evil. So if you're a casual horror fan or new to horror, this movie's going to damage you. I mean, there's things in this movie like acts of violence toward children. There's rape scenes in this movie, and there's even a makeshift abortion scene. So you've been warned. If you can't handle that kind of stuff, I'm not recommending this movie for you. This movie is extreme. It's as extreme as it gets. But I like it. Hardcore fans are going to love this, especially the gore effects. But there's not much of a plot in this movie. They just kind of go around causing all this mayhem around the town in between circus performances. So let's watch number 5. So, let's go back to me. Oh no, was I not sharing my screen? Oh no. Do I have to do that again? I'll let people comment below. I might have to go back. I'll just give it another minute or two. Just occurred to me that I might not have been sharing the screen. Oops. So if someone could comment below, I'd really appreciate it. I just need to know if I need to go back at all. Like, I know I did the honorable mentions, but then I came back and did the number 5. I don't think I actually recorded Circus of the Dead, so I might have to go back. So I'll just give it another minute or two, and then we can move on. Okay, so I'll go back. Okay. So now that I'm sharing the screen, I can talk about Circus of the Dead. Sorry about that. I gotta be more careful. Okay, Circus of the Dead. As far as kill creativity, I give it 2 out of 3 rings. As far as clown design goes, I'll give it 1 out of 3 rings. It's pretty basic. Not much to it. Basic mime makeup. But as far as fear factor goes, 3 out of 3 rings. I'll start off by saying this movie is not for the squeamish, but I do highly recommend it for fans of like Terrifier or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or House of a Thousand Corpses. Papa Corn, this guy right here, is a sick, sadistic, homicidal maniac with an insatiable hunger for carnage candy. More disturbing than most killer clowns because his violence is grounded in realism. These aren't supernatural clowns. They're real people doing dirty deeds, which is so much scarier. The depravity level doesn't get much lower than this. You'll never look at a clown the same way after watching this movie. This is not fun horror by any stretch. There's two kinds of horror movies out there, and horror fans get this. There's fun horror, and then there's not fun horror. I definitely categorize this as not fun horror. So take that for what you will. It's the kind of movie that makes you feel icky afterwards. Some people don't enjoy watching movies of watching people doing messed up stuff just for the sake of being messed up. That's why this movie doesn't entertain, it assaults the senses. Popcorn also leaves emotional bruises too, on top of the violent acts that he's doing. And the tone is relentlessly bleak. There's no hope in this movie at all for survival, which kind of ruins the suspension of disbelief. But again, take that for what you will. Unlike other clowns that I'm going to talk about later on, there's no whimsy behind Popcorn. He's just pure evil. So this movie is not for casual horror fans or people new to the genre. This is one you kind of got to build up to. And this film lingers, kind of like a bloodstain that you can't wash out. It stays with you. So if you're a hardcore horror fan like me, you're going to love this. If you're not, steer clear. But again, take that for what you will. If you're brave enough, go ahead. If you can handle like Terrifier and stuff. But just to warn you, this has violence against children. This depicts scenes of rape. And this has a makeshift abortion scene. So you've been warned. Some of the extreme scenes in there. Circus of the Dead was directed by Billy Rohn. It was written by Lee Erkram and Billy Pond. Sorry, Pond, not Rohn. It stars Bill Oberst Jr. as Papa Corn. It was made on a budget of $150,000, but I couldn't get a worldwide gross for that one. But still, for that budget, this does not look like an independent movie. It feels like the way Texas Chainsaw Massacre was filmed, the original one, and that's high praise. It's got that gritty, raw, handheld camera work and that gritty, bleak atmosphere that I was talking about because of the way it's filmed. The cinematography is amazing. That's what I mean. It's a very technically well-made film. So that's why it gets a recommendation. That's why it's on the top 5. Let me just make sure we're still going. All right. So at number 4, Captain Spaulding. Share screen. Aha. Didn't forget this time. Granted, even though Captain Spaulding was introduced in House of a Thousand Corpses, he really shines in The Devil's Rejects. He's not in House of a Thousand Corpses that much. He's more of a star in this movie. I'm not a big fan of this poster. I like the other one more, with them walking. Hold on, do they have it? Nope. 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 There it is. Hold on. Where's the poster? Oh, now we're getting into still frames. I'll just stick with this one. Yeah, that's cool. So, The Devil's Rejects was written and directed by Rob Zombie. It stars Sid Haig my apologies, as Captain Spaulding. It was made on a budget of $7 million, and it grossed $20.9 million worldwide. So, for kill creativity, I'll give this a 1 out of 3 rings. Because they're gruesome, but they're not that creative, in my opinion. Very basic. For the clown design, though, I have to give that 2 out of 3 rings. And the fear factor? Another 2 out of 3 rings. This is basically the Firefly family on a road trip from hell. I like how this movie shows the consequences of the first movie. And the carjacking scene is the highlight because it shows Captain Spaulding's complete disregard for human life. I put the clip in my commercial for this episode, so you can watch that on my channel if you want. I love that scene. And he's just getting started by that point. Captain Spaulding doesn't hide behind anything supernatural either. He's raw, real, and unpredictable. And Haig's performance is so unhinged, charismatic, and horrifying. That's why it makes him more terrifying, in my opinion, because he's grounded in gritty realism. The murder scenes aren't just brutal, but psychologically disturbing. Not just gory. And Spaulding's mix of sleaze, sarcasm, and the fact that he's a total sociopath makes him sort of like the Charles Manson of clowns. He doesn't always do dirty deeds himself. He gets other people to do his dirty work for him, if that makes sense. And even though he was barely in that first House of a Thousand Corpses movie, he left an impact. So I'm really glad they brought him back and expanded the character in this one. That's why I chose Devil's Reject specifically, because he really shines in this one. He's a clown that's all about chaos. So yeah, that's Captain Spaulding. Let's see if I can get a picture of him in the makeup, though. It's all about the clowns. I showed the other clowns. Go away, not sponsored. Granted, the other clowns were on the poster, but hey. Where are the pictures? Oh, there he is. There's the clown makeup. So it's very simple. There's not a lot to it. You got the eye makeup there. You got the eyebrows. And then he's got that black lipstick or whatever on. So that's why the clown design is only a 1, but I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. I get him a 2. It's a little more creative than Papa Corn. More memorable, too. Papa Corn looks very similar to Art the Clown, but I'll get to him soon. So let's go back to me. Here I am. Number 3. It's Art the Clown. That was a good little segue, right? More specifically, Terrifier 2 is where he shines from 2022. So let's just make sure I share the screen. I guess I'm going to mention it every time now so I don't forget. So I just want to talk about Terrifier 2 a little bit. If I could spell. Terrifier 2. Yeah. First of all, I love this poster. It's so colorful and it just catches your eye. Can I make it bigger? I can't make it bigger. That's okay. But Art's front and center with this really strange weapon that he does use on people. And then you have the final girl right here. And you have all this chaos going on. It's awesome. If you look closely, it's like a carnival from hell. It's even got a nice little jack-o'-lantern. This is a Halloween movie, too. So bonus points for that. So, Terrifier 2 came out in 2022. It was written and directed by Damien Leone. David Howard Thornton plays Art the Clown. It was made on a budget of $250,000, and it made a worldwide gross of $15.8 million. No wonder we got a sequel so fast. Part 3. But I love this movie. It's awesome. Art the Clown, as far as kill creativity goes, is a 3 out of 3. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. The clown design, I gave it a 2 out of 3 rings. And the fear factor, I gave him another 2 out of 3 rings. This is brutal AF. An art film. Get it? I had to. But this is for hardcore horror fans. Again, this is not for the squeamish. Art the Clown has a lot of potential to become a new horror icon for a whole new generation. I wouldn't say he's iconic yet. It's a little too soon. But he has appeared in 5 movies so far, including 3 solo films. But really, what makes this is Thornton's miming performance. He's silly, sardonic, and so sinister. His facial expressions go from impish to, you guessed it, terrifying, instantaneously. Ironically, he really does find the killer mime's voice in part 2. But Art the Clown doesn't just kill his victims, he plays with them relentlessly. Before and after they're dead. His methods aren't just sadistic, they're theatrical. So his silent performance speaks volumes. From scalping to splitting victims open to that unforgettable bedroom scene. There's a lot of reasons this movie stand out. Art the Clown makes Jigsaw look restrained. The monochromatic mime clown makeup, it's a hybrid design. that's instantly recognizable. Plus, it's deeply unsettling. This is not a clown that you want to meet in a dark alley in the middle of the night. Especially holding that thing. Yeah, run. That's a big nope. But this combines the grotesque with Charlie Chaplin style slapstick, which kind of adds to the cruelty. He's not only killing you, he's mocking you while he does it. So that's why art has a lot of potential to become a new horror icon. We'll see. Time will tell if she'll make a lasting mark. If they keep making these movies, he just might. But he's not just here for laughs. He's here for your screams, too. And because of that, he might even get the last laugh. Who knows? We'll see. But I approve. Those are a few reasons why Art the Clown is number 3. Let's see if I can find a good picture of him. The poster's good, but I want to make sure I can do justice. I just got to be careful what pictures I can show. Oh, here we go. It's just being slow. Here we go. Maybe I can find one. Come on, close. My computer's just being slow. Sorry about that. Go away. Not sponsored. Oh my God. Okay. There he is. That's a good picture. The hat's a nice touch too. I love his little hat. I want to give a shout out too to the pale girl. She's also in this movie. But she doesn't technically kill anyone on screen, so I'm not sure if I should even count her as a killer clown. So hold on. Okay, let's see if I can find her. Again, I gotta be careful what kind of stuff I can show. There she is. There's a better picture. Isn't that creepy? It's a bet you didn't come back for part 3. I want more little pale girl. Well, what's her story? Let's go back to me. Here I am. Ooh. I can get my list up. Here we go. Okay. Back in business. So at number 2, Stitches. Oh, hold on. We have a comment. Pause. Hold that thought. Sabrina says, what's your rating for Terrifier 2? Ooh. Thank you for asking. I did review this movie. It is on Letterboxd. I'm just looking up. I read so many reviews, and that was so long ago. Sometimes I don't remember what I wrote. So, okay, I gave this an extra large popcorn. The movie itself, but this video isn't so much about the movies. It's about the clowns. So that's why I didn't say that originally. But thank you for bringing that up. I highly recommend Terrifier 2. I think it's the best in the franchise. But there's 2 other clowns that I think are scarier. All right, so like I was saying, number 2 is Stitches. Oh, I almost did it again. Share screen. If I don't talk myself through it, I'm going to forget. Here's one last look at the pale girl. definitely an honorable mention, but technically not a killer clown. She doesn't actually kill anyone on screen. It's still creepy. Wait, what am I doing? Okay. Stitches. Here's the poster. Maybe. Yeah. Here we go. I clicked the screen share, right? Okay, good. I'm paranoid now. There's Stitches. For kill creativity, I gotta give him 3 out of 3 rings. As far as clown design goes, 2 out of 3 rings. Pretty clever, pretty original. And fear factor, 3 out of 3 rings. Just the idea of who Stitches is terrifying. That's why I put him above Art the Clown, because he was a birthday clown that comes back from the dead and kills the little bastard that killed him. This is a very amusing Irish horror comedy slasher that puts a unique spin on the killer clown. What if the birthday clown was accidentally killed by a kid's prank gone horribly wrong, and then was resurrected by dark forces to exact his revenge 10 years later? I love that. And the kills are some of the most creative kills I've seen in recent horror movies. And they're all clown or circus related, which makes it more fun. Takes it to another level. On top of that, the character Stitches is laugh out loud funny no matter how many times I watch this. I also love the lore established in the movie too. I did a little bit of research and I discovered that since 1946, many clowns actually did record their clown makeup, painting them on eggs to help keep a central registry. It was basically to copyright your clown makeup before there was like copyright laws. This tradition, which continues today, has been referred to alternately as a form of informal copyright registration. So even if you don't get it copyrighted, you still have your egg. This protects the clown as an intellectual property, and it protects their persona. So the fact that they used something like this with historical context, but then put a dark slasher spin on it, is highly commendable. That's a really cool idea if you think about it. I don't want to say too much, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about with the eggs. This is streaming on Shudder, so you can watch it on there. Stitches is what happens when Freddy Krueger puts face paint on, but has an even more twisted sense of humor. Sure, the deaths are cartoonish, but that makes it so much more fun. I mean, we got the umbrella, we got the balloon animals. That was my personal favorite. And then we have the ice cream scoops. They're grim and grotesque, but you have to laugh with the context and everything in it. It's hilarious. So if you like dark humor, this movie's for you. You'll love Stitches. And then there's that surprising depth to the story, too, because of all this historical context that they put into it. This movie is whimsical and wonderfully weird. Plus, it has that Irish touch to it, too. It's got a lot of Irish humor. So again, Stitches, highly underrated gem. It's too bad there wasn't sequels for this, too. I'm surprised there's not like 7 Stitches movies. I love the character. So that means, let's go back to me. There's only one left. We have a comment. Spinner says, I wonder if Allison would agree with you on Terrifier being the best in the franchise. That is, for context, that is her daughter. She might. I think she said part 3 is her favorite, actually, but I'm not sure. Good question. Thank you. So now, my number 1 killer clown. It might be obvious because I haven't mentioned yet, and I'm wearing them. It's Pennywise. So, oh wait, I almost forgot. Share screen. I'm going to focus on It Chapter 1 specifically. Why is it showing me Strangers? No, I don't want Strangers Chapter 1. (2017). There it is. Oh, because it's just called It. Well, that's confusing. Anyways, the title card says Chapter 1. But really, I count Chapter 1 and 2 as one movie, kind of like the Kill Bills. If you only watch one, you're only getting half of the story. So, It Chapter 1 was directed by Andy Muschietti. It was written by Chase Palmer, Terry Joji Fukunaga, and Gary Dauberman. It stars Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. It was made on a budget of $35 million, and it made $704 million worldwide. Now, I have the utmost respect. I kind of explained this in my Stephen King video. If you're interested, I go more in depth with It in that movie too. So I'm not going to talk about it too much. But sometimes the remake is just better. I'm not saying his performance is better than Stephen Curry. He goes a completely different direction. Because let's face it, nobody can do a better Tim Curry than Tim Curry. But as far as this Pennywise goes, as far as kill creativity, 3 out of 3. Rings. As far as clown design goes, it's another 3 out of 3 rings. And the fear factor is through the roof. 3 out of 3 rings. He gets a perfect score. Why? Because Pennywise is the clown king. Like I was saying about remakes, I mean, just look at The Fly or The Thing or Invasion of the Body Snatchers. They took things from the original, they trimmed the stuff out that didn't work so well, and they added more to the story. And this movie has better effects. To a point. But there's a reason why Pennywise reigns supreme as the Clown King. This 21st century makeover works on several levels. He's more than just a creepy clown. He literally feeds on your fear. Granted, he is a cosmic entity and he takes several forms, but the clown is what he stays in for most of the movie. And he is sheer nightmare fuel. I just wish more of the movie was more like that opening scene with Georgie. more psychological horror, not so reliant on jump scares and CGI. But the kills are surreal, metaphorical, and even more nightmarish because of it. Especially that scene in the well house that's full of clowns, and then Pennywise jumps out of the trunk, or when he comes out of the fridge all twisted. My favorite scene, though, is the one in the garage with the projector. Holy crap, that's scary. Bill Skarsgård certainly gives a performance for the ages. In a lot of ways, he redefined what a creepy clown can be, and a lot of people have mimicked him after that. Basically, every killer clown is inspired by Pennywise, if you think about it. That might be hyperbole. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's my opinion. That's why I think he's a benchmark for modern evil clowns and horror. Let's see if I can get a good picture of him here. The fact that he eats kids is even more creepy, too. Go away. But yeah, this movie's not for the faint of heart. It really does deliver on that fear factor. This movie is scary. There's Pennywise. Everything from the hair to the way his makeup goes around the cheeks like that to kind of make the smile go up more, to the way he purses his lips, to the way that he moves his eyes around. He can actually do that. That's not CGI. He can move one eye in a different direction than the other. So that adds to the performance. There's a lot of subtleties like that that really elevate this performance. In this costume, too, he looks like a clown straight out of the Renaissance, like he's lost in time. So that timeless quality, that old-time feel, makes him feel like an ancient evil, if that makes sense. I know it's not a great comparison, but off the top of my head, I would compare him to like Vigo from Ghostbusters 2, but a much scarier version. And he becomes synonymous too with red balloons. I'm sure if you see a red balloon, you'll think of Pennywise. So I get out of the picture. Are you gonna be difficult? Okay. There we go. This is the picture I put in my collage for the thumbnail for this video. That's what I was looking for. And this is that room I was talking about when he jumps out from that trunk in the room of clowns. So yeah, that's why I think Pennywise really is the scariest killer clown. Based on those 3 rings I keep talking about. So let's go back to me. So that's this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Quick recap. At number 5, I have Papa Corn from Circus of the Dead. At number 4, Captain Spaulding from The Devil's Rejects. At number 3, Art the Clown from Terrifier 2. At number 2, Stitches from 2012. And number 1, Pennywise from It. Technically, he's in 3 different movies, but this is where he really makes his mark on pop culture. I mean, he's become a pop culture icon. It's been about 9 years since this movie's come out. My math off. I'm not good at math. Okay, like 8 years. But still, you can see the impression he's made. So we'll just give art a little bit more time, maybe in like 5 to 10 years, to make more of an impression and influence more people. But you can tell that art is clearly inspired by Pennywise, and all these clowns are clearly inspired by Pennywise. He's not the original killer clown, but he perfected what killer clowns can be. So here's a few final thoughts. The final curtain call, if you will. These are the reasons why in this blood-sweated circus, not all clowns should be created equal. We got Art the Clown, who revels in chaos. We got Stitches, who puts a dark spin on revenge with humorous intent. And some wear the grease paint like war paint, like Captain Spaulding. What ties them all together is each brings something original to this big top of mayhem. Whether it's dark humor, mind-warping makeup, or gut-churning horror. Each of them brings something unique to my three-ring circus of insanity. So grab your cotton candy and your popcorn, because I'm sending in the clowns. Beware! Beware! Thank you for clicking on my video. Hello, world! I'm Chris Maitini, aka Mr. FLIXTER.
Mr. FLIXTER.
Whew. Happy Halloween! I'm Mr. FLIXTER, signing off. Have a good night. Next week's episode, I'm going to review a very special movie. It's celebrating its 30th anniversary. And that movie is Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. I'm doing horror for the entire month of October.